How much does that count for, if anything, psychologically going into this final?
Yeah, I think we can rely on that and we can sort of come in with confidence, but we've just had a team talk there to say that the job's not finished. We've got these performances in the bag, however, they don't count for anything unless we turn up and perform today.
We know small margins and sports science and all these things. How much advantage or not do you see the fact that Vipers have had a game, but they're going to be a little bit tired, whereas you guys are coming in without having a look at the wicket? How do you see all those things?
Yeah, so I think the wicket's quite predictable. It's flat, and I think the benefit of being in an air-conditioned, chilled out space and not being in 29 degrees is definitely going to play its advantage later on.
In terms of England availability, we've just seen Danny Wyatt and Maya Boucher play a big part for the Vipers in getting to the final. You've obviously got Sarah Glenn and Tammy Beaumont available. How much and how many difficult selection decisions has that given you today in terms of who to leave out?
Yeah, we've got a really strong squad, so there's always selection debates. We've got a really strong selection committee and group that go through a robust process, so we believe we've got everyone on the pitch that we need on the pitch, and they can perform.
And for those who haven't seen many of the Blaze matches this year, how would you sum up the cricket you've played in going 7 from 7 in the group?
Yeah, we wanted to, at the start of this, play an exciting brand, a positive brand of cricket, and we've definitely done that, so yeah.
I guess what would it mean to the club? Obviously you've had a rebrand over the off-season as well. People go, Blaze, hang on a minute. We know obviously what you're all about as a club over the course of the last few years. What would it mean to the club to lift the trophy at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think that we've had a lovely reset moving to Trent Bridge, and we've all worked a very hard winter, and we've really done ourselves justice on what we can do as a group of players and staff. So yeah, it would mean a lot to bring the trophy back to Trent Bridge.
That's great, James. Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers. Thank you.
We're joined now by Lottie Edwards, the coach of the Vipers. Through to the final, Lottie, you say one game at a time. Now the final is here. What are your emotions after watching that performance from your team in the semi?
Yeah, really proud of how we performed in that game. I thought it was a great contest. Thought we'd got enough. We won 9-1, but they just kept coming hard at us, the Thunder. And yeah, great game, and really pleased and proud of the team for winning through there.
Kind of asked for a better platform than what your two England stars gave you at the top.
Yeah, I thought they looked outstanding today, just doing it with relative ease as well against a good bowling attack. So played really nicely, and I thought we had some good contributions at the end there, Elwes and so on. So it was really good performance.
As a coach who's always looking for higher standards, I guess, were you thinking at halfway maybe we're going over 200 here?
Yeah, I think so, but I also know the nature of T20. It's hard to keep going for 10s for most of the game unless you have that player that goes on and probably gets you that 100 or a really high score. So I would have taken that at the start of the day, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Not a bad start to the innings, getting Emma Lamb third ball of the innings as well. Were any of those partnerships worrying you when a couple of them started to get going, because you just kept on picking up key wickets at the right times, didn't you?
Yeah, dotting always worries me if I'm honest, and then obviously I know what Sophie can do as well. So, but you always felt once the run rate kept going up, it's going to take a lot for them to chase that down. I thought they came at us hard, and all credit to them. And so I was pretty pleased that the bowlers stuck in there, and we took our chances.
It is a hot, demanding day. What is 2 games back to back with quite a short turnaround going to take out of your players? How deep are they going to have to dig here?
I don't know. I'll probably tell you about 7 o'clock tonight how much it's taken out of us. But all I know is that they're resting up now. They're in a final again, and they've got 40 overs to play now, and hopefully they'll give it their all.
And finally, how much does that final experience and winning trophies, how much does that count for in these high pressure moments?
It will count for something, I think, absolutely, because we've been there and we've done it. So hopefully that will give us a slight edge maybe, but we're coming up against a good team, and it's 2020 cricket, so I think we'll just sit up there and strap ourselves in for the ride.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Lottie.
Lottie always in good form, and not much of a team talk needed for her. More of the same, I have no doubts that she'll be thinking from her Vipers side, which won the Eliminator by 18 runs over the Thunder. So, last minute details and applause all round. They've not won anything yet, but they're giving themselves a nice bit of applause. And Sophie Luff of the Western Storm is alongside me. The Blaze come in, having had a very nice afternoon, thank you very much. Just watching what's gone on and seeing how the surface is playing, and watching others get a little bit more fatigued. They're in prime position, aren't they, having won the toss and electing to bat first. They've just spent 20 overs in the field an hour ago, and the Vipers are back in the field in hot conditions. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think for the Blaze, they've obviously put their feet up for the majority of the day, haven't they? So they'll probably be fresh, raring, ready to go. They're obviously 7 from 7 in this competition, topping the table, and thoroughly deserve to be in this final. As for the Vipers, they've had to work very hard. Only half a job done for them today so far.
Yeah, in this instance, and obviously you've just finished off, and there's you've just won a game, and there's that jubilation and good feeling about the side, and then realising that suddenly you're back on, or you could potentially be back on the field. And now, of course, they're in a final. They'll be thrilled about it. They'll get up, but it is a sort of bit of a roller coaster and a seesaw. I've done it myself in T20 finals day, etc. It is actually difficult to actually kick off those first 5 overs. There's a bit of a reset that's needed, and it's not too easy a job here for the Vipers.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is a new game, isn't it? A completely new scenario for them. They obviously know the pitch conditions, but they're up against a very strong Blaze team. And yeah, like you say, you don't really get much time to sort of switch off, and then they've got to switch back on again, which is a skill in itself within the game of cricket. So yeah, I'm sure Vipers have tried to put their feet up, get some food and drink under their belts, and they'll be ready to go for another stint in the field. Those
additions, obviously you've got 3 internationals coming back into the side for the Blaze, with Kirsty Gordon and then Sarah Glenn, one of the best ranked T20 leg spinners in the world, and Tammy Beaumont at the top of the order. It's quite a sizable shift, and to have that, the only player that's not available from England is Nat Sciver-Brunt, but again, having the internationals back, great for the spectacle, but what do they bring the Blaze, in particular Glenn and Beaumont? Well, Beaumont will bring hopefully runs at the top of the order. She's been striking them beautifully throughout the competition so far. So she's definitely one to set the tone with the bat, and they've obviously chosen to bat first, so they'll be looking at Tammy to lead the way, I guess. And then, yeah, you've got Glennie coming in. You know what you're going to get from Glennie. T20 is her format. That's what she does best. And I think she will give them real control, if not take a few wickets with the ball as well. And what about the surface as well? I mean, we saw a high-scoring game earlier, 190 plays 170, and I don't think, is it going to behave any differently, do you feel, after it's been baked for maybe 4 or 5 hours today, but otherwise, is it going to be a similar batting paradise? Yeah, I think it's a new road, isn't it? It looked like a batter's game out there earlier today, and I don't think we'll see anything different. There's a few more clouds in the air, and there was talk of a few showers potentially, but Blaze don't obviously think that that's in the forecast because they've chosen to bat first here. Yeah, very much so. Well, I'm just peeking out of our commentary position window and just looking to the right-hand side, and 1 or 2 starting to build up actually, so all of that SPF 15 that I was sticking on has gone to waste now as the sun's just hidden behind the clouds, and through the tunnel of Astwood Bank girls players come the Vipers in their black and orange, and then following on the Blaze batters in their black and orange. So it's going to be difficult. Maybe you should get an away strip or something like that. Sophie, just some thoughts on perhaps how the Southern Vipers might approach this, with the Blaze having won 7 out of 7. Interesting, 5 of those have actually been chasing, so setting a target is unusual perhaps for them, and then Mark Church will lead us off. Thank you, Daggers. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Anya Shrubsole taking the new ball, which we saw in the earlier game here today. Fine stalwart of the game. You know exactly what you're going to get from Anya Shrubsole, and Georgia Adams, the Vipers skipper, has said, give me the first over, set the tone. Tammy Beaumont and Sarah Bryce opening up for the Blaze, and they'll have other ideas in this power play. Churchy, welcome back. Hello. I'm fascinated by this. I really am fascinated by this final. The Blaze haven't lost a game in any competition this year. They're 7 from 7, but this is the final. And it'll be fascinating to see how they go about it. Vipers are coming into this after winning the eliminator this morning. There's all pros and cons of playing this morning and not playing this morning, but I hate to say it, the Blaze could win 7 out of 7 and then not put it together on the main one, which is the final. So this will be fascinating, I think. And what a great start we've got with Shrubsole bowling to Tammy Beaumont. Here we go then. Start of this Charlotte Edwards Cup final, and Tammy Beaumont drives the first ball. There's a little bit of swing there for Shrubsole outside the off stump, and there is no run. But yeah, I love stuff like this. I love it when there is a team that have performed so well, and then they get to the final, and it's how you go about the final, because nothing else will count for the Blaze.
Beaumont, lovely shot, late cut, away through backward point, and that's going to be the first boundary. Little short, little wide from Anya Shrubsole, and that's beautifully put away by Tammy Beaumont, and the first time we get the Flames in this final. And for the Blaze, very, very nice shot from Beaumont. Tammy Beaumont, shot, late cut, Beaumont away shot, through backward point, and that's going to be the first boundary. Little short, little wide.
Beaumont, and she opens her account, she opens Blaze's account in this final. And there's a lot of orange out there on the pitch, isn't there?
I was thinking that if this was any other sport, one side might have to change their kit. As shout for LBW here. It's got a striding given. The finger's gone up. Long look at that. And the finger's gone up. Tammy Beaumont does not look best pleased with that decision. She got a stride in. Whether she thinks she might have got a bit of a nibble on that, I'm not sure, but it took a while for the decision to be made, and that's an age. That's horrible for any batter. Tammy Beaumont had turned round, but she has to make her way back. So, what a start for the Vipers. Beaumont gone for 4 in the first over, and the Blaze are 4 for 1.
Yeah,
one
massive wicket there. I mean, she's a big game player, isn't she?
Shout for LBW here. It's got a striding given.
As well the
finger's gone up.
To get that wicket. Looks like it's going to be Georgie Boyce in at 3 for the Blaze. She's been in some good form, having made the move from Thunder this season.
She has indeed. I'm seeing it again on the replay. It looked a very good shout, actually. Even though she's got a stride in, swinging it back, it looked a pretty good shout. All I thought was, from Beaumont's reaction, did she get a nibble on it? But I don't think she did. And the finger went up, but it was a long old stay of execution, that, for Tammy Beaumont. She turned round. Horrible for her. Boyce's first delivery just tucks it nicely into the leg side. But you can see that Anya Shrubsole's up for this, can't you? Final. And wicket already of Tammy Beaumont, her England teammate. Or former England teammate, of course, in Shrubsole's case. But, yeah, finals are when the big players really come into their own, and Shrubsole knows all about finals, of course. So Bryce comes on to strike for the first time in this first over, and Bryce drives outside edge. This will fly away to the boundary rope for 4, and again there's a little bit of swing there for Shrubsole, but no slip. Keep her up to the stumps, and that flies away for 4. And Bryce is off the mark with a boundary.
Yeah, Bryce does want to flash hard outside that off stump. I think that's why they've set deep cover, to be honest, because Bryce is so strong through that region, so they don't want to give away too many boundaries through there. Just a little bit unlucky there, Shrubsole.
Bryce forward to a good length delivery, just plays that quietly back up the pitch. So a very interesting first over. 1 gone. Blaze winning the toss, batting first. You made a very interesting point before we came on air, because I said it's getting a bit cloudy. It's getting a bit cloudy, and there was talk of thunderstorms, and you said to me, well, Blaze must think it'll be alright because they've decided to bat first.
Yeah, I guess you just always do think if there is a chance of some dodgy weather around that you would potentially prefer to bowl first, and I don't see the pitch changing too much either, but Blaze obviously took the brave decision to bat first. They want runs on the board. I guess they saw that, I mean, even though Vipers lost the toss in that semi-final eliminator game, they did bat first, and they did put too many runs on the board for Thunder, so yeah, that's the way that they want to go.
Start the second over with spin in the shape of Lindsay Smith, and that first delivery, Boyce just pushes out to the edge of the circle. Good crowd in. It has built up as the day's gone on. I think a few of the Thunder supporters have stuck around. Be a single here, down the ground, nicely played by Boyce. Picks up the single, moves on to 2. And Blaze move on to 10 for 1. I did hear a group of Thunder fans down below us during the interval saying, are we staying? Are we going? Are we going to stay for the final? And they decided to stay for the final, which is excellent. Have a full day of brilliant cricket. Oh, that's well bowled by Smith. That beats the edge. That's a lovely delivery coming round the wicket, possibly a little quicker, and beats the outside edge of Bryce's bat.
Yeah, very well bowled by Lindsay there. She bowled pretty well in the earlier game as well. She picked up a couple of wickets, 4 overs, 2 for 31. She'll be looking to do the same here.
Bowling in her sunglasses. Down the pitch comes Bryce. That's a nice shot. Just checks it up and over the top and away for 4. Hasn't overhit that at all. Bryce, just lovely use of the feet, and then really just chips it up and over the top, and it speeds up off the turf and away for 4 runs. Culture bit of batting that. Bryce moves on to 8.
Yeah, great bit of footwork there from Sarah Bryce, and yeah, like you say, just held her shape, didn't overhit it, and I think you just get value for your shots on this ground. That raced away.
Smith bowling in her sunglasses, although the sun's now disappeared as this one's pushed by Bryce straight back up the pitch, and there is no run. I was hearing you and Charles talking about sort of the interval and going into the final. As using the feet again here is Bryce. Quick singles taken up to Georgia Adams, who does the fielding. 2 gone, and the Blaze winning the toss, batting first, 15 for 1. Tammy Beaumont gone LBW to Shrubsall for 4. But when the men's competition started back in 2003, they used to have a sort of popular rock act in the interval. So we had Girls Aloud one year, and what was that? Liberty X the other year.
Liberty X.
I'm pretty sure
Liberty
that, X. They were there one year as well.
One of the band members of that group is married to Kevin Peterson.
Yes, indeed, quite right. Yeah. Is it Jessica? I should know that. It's looking to drive here is Bryce.
Right.
And it beats the edge of the bat, start of the third. The only reason I mentioned it was the sad thing was, on both occasions, they played to absolutely nobody because everybody had gone off for their tea. In fact, on the first year of it, or the second year of it, when I think it was Liberty X, and I won't name the Surrey players, this one's pulled off the front foot, well, straight back down the ground by Bryce. That's an extraordinary shot. She's shaped up to pull that through mid-wicket and has actually pulled it straight back over Shrubsall's head and straight down the ground for 4. That is when you are in good form, because shaping up to go leg side and has actually just pulled it basically straight back over Shrubsall's head for 4 runs. So Bryce is on to 13. Not quite where she intended, but still got good bat on it. This time she's getting a leading edge. This will be out. It's gone straight up in the air and taken by Fountain behind the stumps. And it's a big wicket for the Vipers. Shrubsall has 2 now. Bryce goes for 13. So Beaumont's gone. Bryce has gone. And all of a sudden, the Blaze are under pressure. And it's just held its line, looking to go leg side. Big leading edge that flies high in the air. And with the gloves on, pretty simple catch. And Sophie, all of a sudden, the Blaze are under pressure. 19 for 2 in the third.
Yeah, it was firstly a great call by the keeper there to get underneath that one. It looked like short third was interested for a while, but I think it was the right call that the keeper got underneath that one. Anya Shrubsall certainly writing the script here. I just think Bryce had just got a boundary away then and looking to go hard again. And I actually think that's what Wyatt and Bouchier did so well in the earlier game is, yes, they scored a number of boundaries, but what they did, the bits in between, you know, those singles, those well-run 2s, that was what made that partnership so dominant. And I think Blaze looking to maybe just go a little bit too hard too early here.
One Bryce replaces another because Catherine Bryce is out there now. Yeah, absolutely. And they were so controlled. That 108 opening run partnership between Bouchier and White, they were in complete control for the whole thing. As this beats the edge again from Shrubsall. And at the moment, Blaze to me just look a little bit rattled. They're almost trying to shot a ball at the moment. Catherine Bryce hasn't even had a look there. Immediately trying to go through backward point. And this is Anya Shrubsall bowling at the moment. I think at times you have to just check who's bowling before you try and play a certain way. Because if you go after Shrubsall, she has got all the tricks. She's got both wickets to fall so far. That one just nips back and bounces a touch. Great over. And Bryce has just played that out into the offside and there's no run.
I think that's the other point as well. You know, you're up against someone like Anya Shrubsall. She's just been hit for a boundary. I think you're probably preempting that she's going to change something up, or you know, she might be looking to alter her delivery slightly. She's not just going to give you a 4-ball again. So yeah, she's just too smart for that, is Anya.
Catherine Bryce just opening the face, playing this with much more control, really, and that'll run away for 4. Whereas her first delivery, she really went after it. She just let that come to her. That's very nicely played, and just guided away really down to the 3rd boundary for 4 runs. But on this replay, very controlled shot, that very nicely played. 3 gone, and the Blaze are 23 for 2.
Yeah, said it multiple times on the live stream today, but good cricket shots get you good value on this wicket, and that was a fine example there from Catherine Bryce, just using the pace of Shrubsole.
Yeah, Charles Dagnall's just done a bit of research behind me there. So 2003, the first ever men's T20, it was Atomic Kitten, and they played to nobody. Starts at the 4th over, Smith is in, and that's chopped away by Boyce down to backward point, because they always played in the interval between the semi and the final, if that makes sense. And everyone had gone off to get their tea. And the only 2 people really watching Atomic Kitten were 2 members of the Surrey team that were playing in the final, and they weren't really concentrating. They were just sort of having a wander around the outfield, and Atomic Kitten were playing, so they had to watch for one of their well-known famous hits, none of which I know. And yeah, so that sort of, I think there was only 3 years of rock and pop concerts, as this one's cut away into the offside. And again, the fielding is good on the edge of the circle by Freya Kemp, and there's no run. Oh, thank you to Charles Dagnall. It might have been whole again, yes indeed, which they were listening to as forward once more goes Boyce, and can't get this away. Very controlled start this from the Southern Vipers. 23 for 2 the Blaze in the 4th over. Driving is Boyce again, doesn't really get much on this. They will get a single, it's just potted off towards the edge of the circle. Boyce moves on to 3, the Blaze 24 for 2.
Yeah, really tight over here from Lindsay Smith, and probably the first time that we've seen sort of consecutive dots at all today. Only gone for 1 off her 5 balls in this over, and Georgia Adams has trusted her to bowl another in this power play.
Forward comes Bryce, just trying to work this one into the leg side, hits the pad. I would hazard a guess that's our cheapest over we've had today. Just a single off it. It's a brilliant over. And the Blaze have not had the start they wanted. Thank you to Sophie Luff. Sophie will be back with us throughout the final, of course. And well, you can see what's happening there to the sort of Manhattan and Worm. It's going on a downward trajectory at the moment. Jo Gardner's coming in to join us. And is Shrubsole continuing? Yes, she is. She's going to bowl her 3rd over, the 5th of the innings. Boyce is on strike. Short and pulled away by Boyce. 1 bounce out towards deep backward square. And I'll tell you what, Freya Kemp's done really well there. I thought for a second Boyce had pulled it straight to her, but she came sprinting in and then realised she wasn't going to get to it. Jo Gardner, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Churchy. There's been a few of those today, hasn't there? With fielders debating whether to come in and try and attempt the catch or field it a bit more safely.
Vipers at the moment are just causing the Blaze a bit of trouble. Not the start they would have been looking for. Looking to drive this time is Catherine Bryce. Doesn't time this at all. Smith comes round to do the fielding. Yeah, but Smith's last over, just a single off it, and I think that's the cheapest over we've had today.
Yeah, I think it is. The only one I can remember is the one that Charlie Dean bowled. I think she got a wicket and it went for 2. So yeah, tidy stuff from the Vipers to begin with in this power play.
Yeah, really good. From the holders of this competition, of course. Lovely bowling again from Shrubsole. Bryce just can't get this away. And you can see Georgia Adams thinking here that Shrubsole wants another over. She believes she's going to get another wicket in this over. It'll be very interesting to see if she just bowls her 4 here. It must be tempting because she's bowling beautifully at the moment. Blaze just can't get Shrubsole away. She's picked up both the wickets to fall so far. Gets ready once again. Bryce a slower ball and looking to drive that. Bottom hand comes off the bat. It's a great over, and the throw from mid-on hits the stumps. I think it's fair to say the Vipers are right on it here, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They've certainly carried the momentum over from winning that semi-final earlier in the day. It'll just be interesting to see if Catherine Bryce does anything, moves laterally around her crease. Obviously a little bit more risky to come at Anya Shrubsole when she's changing her pace and with Nicole Fulton up to the stump. So it'll be interesting to see if she does anything here.
2 balls of the over to go. Bryce looks to drive again straight down to backward point. Smith is there to do the fielding. They just look frustrated, the Blaze. At the moment, the way they've come out, they're almost looking to play a shotter ball, and they're not getting the ball away at the moment. I think they've just got to, well, just look at what's in front of them, really. Play what's in front of them. And they've got one of the best in the business at the moment in Anya Shrubsole. Just a single off this over. Driving once more out towards extra cover. Here's Bryce, and there is no run. And it's another terrific over from Anya Shrubsole. Just the 1 run off the over. And 5 overs have gone. And a few more thoughts from you, Joe Gardner, on this start from the Southern Vipers and the Blaze. And then it'll be Charles Dagnall. Yeah,
Vipers backing up that over from Lindsay Smith with just a single conceded off the following over from Anya Shrubsole there, and it's been a really tidy start from them in this power play. You feel like this is going to be an important partnership for the Blaze with Georgie Boyce and Catherine Bryce, and you just wonder what they're going to do next to just try and keep the scoreboard ticking along. Obviously 2 cheap overs for them.
Here's Charlie Dean, and starts off just punching down the ground is Boyce. Hello, Joe. Completely different sort of scenario that we saw from the first to this game. And I agree with both you and Sophie Love and Mark Church. The way that the Blaze have started things. That's a little bit better. That's better. Just delicately played. Not sure if it's got enough. It's pulled back really, really well. And not before a 3rd run is picked up. And it's more of that, isn't it? It's actually more, rather than trying to launch the ball over the boundary edge, actually there's plenty of runs to be had just by nurdling and nudging and picking up your 2s and 3s.
Yeah, I think those dots that Catherine Bryce faced in the previous over, it was almost like she was just searching and trying to hit it a little bit too hard.
Just sliding down.
Whereas potentially she could have just decelerated her hands on a couple and tried to just hit the space that's in front of the fielders rather than trying to split the gaps between them to just get off strike potentially, so that you're not soaking up too much dot ball pressure.
That's going to be valuable for the Blaze, who before this over were looking more like a smoulder rather than a full-out Blaze. Just erring down the leg side, helping it on its way. No chance for Shrubsole to cut that off. And then this, the last over of the power play. Valuable runs added. Intriguing colour combinations of these 2 sides. I would have thought that maybe the Blaze could have, since they're being a relatively new side, as born out of the Loughborough Lightning. Just a single to conclude the overs. So power play overs are done. The fielding restrictions are relaxed, and the Blaze 33. No, 34. You're right first time. Now, here you go. Now, I've been watching this lady with her Blaze t-shirt on, and I am confident, without being certain, but I am confident that that is the mother of Josie Groves. Am I right?
I can change your mind into certainty. That is Josie Groves. That's Anita, yeah. Always in full support, whether it's England at the World Cup, Northants, the Blaze, she's always there.
She does not stop moving. When I was out covering the Under-19 World Cup in South Africa, and it was blazing heat there, it doesn't matter about the temperature, Anita Groves is moving, and she's dancing, and she's cheering, and she's fully supporting. Daughter's not even playing today, and yet the proud wearing of orange. I think she had in South Africa a big foam finger as well. You know what you see at those American sports games, as this has been drilled over the top. Wonderful shot. Really picked up nicely from Boyce. That's much more like it for the Blaze.
Yeah, just slightly over pitch there. Georgia Elwes first ball, and Georgie Boyce helped herself quite nicely to that. Good option with mid-off up. Happy days for Georgie Boyce.
Yeah, so Anita was with the rest of the England party, parents and supporters, and she was just constantly moving, dancing to any track that was blaring over the sound system. It's going to be 4 more. No problems at all, just guided nicely. Got the angles right, did Boyce. And now things are starting to tick over a bit more sweetly for the Blaze.
Yeah, nice bit of timing there from Georgie Boyce. Just escapes the dive, a backward point from Lindsay Smith, and back-to-back fours for her. Big partnership between these two the other day, actually, in their game against the Western Storm. They put on 66 for the 3rd wicket. They'll be hoping for more of the same here.
Flicked away. There is protection on the boundary edge. But you're both Northants girls, aren't you? You and Josie Groves?
Certainly are. I remember coaching Josie. That just shows my age and her youth.
Never believe it.
I remember when she was in the under-13s, a little dot. Her and Jodie Grucock, who's now my Sunrisers teammate, also a full-time pro at the Sunrisers. Yeah, just slower that one from Elwes, and again, just Bryce just trying to hit it a little bit too hard. Picks out the fielder extra cover when you've obviously got Charlie Dean, the sweeper, at cover. Could she have potentially just decelerated her hands, as I mentioned before, just get Boyce back on strike?
Just controlled into the onside. Now, I was a little bit disappointed not to see Josie Groves, just from a personal perspective, having watched all the England under-19. Saren Smale was left out of the Thunder team, and I was hugely impressed with her. And Groves, dual international. She's a netball player as well. Highly talented athlete. And a very, very good leg spin bowler.
Can whack it as well. Can clear the ropes.
Yes. Yeah, she can. She can give it a bit of biff. Protection now on the deep cover boundary. And just be a single to conclude the over. Charlie Dean doing the tidying up. And so, 7 overs have been completed, and the Blaze now starting to tick over pretty nicely. This partnership worth 26. Boyce the aggressor of the two. And I don't want to alarm you, but just above those trees we did see blue. Now we are seeing very dark grey, and it looks a little ominous. I'm staying positive, Joe, but it's starting to come towards us, and it doesn't look good.
No, you're absolutely right, Daggers. I mean, I must say, when I was greeted on my arrival here this morning, I did hear that there was chance of a potential thunderstorm, and I thought, absolutely not. It's going to be gorgeous all day. Well, looks like the forecasters might have actually got it right.
Yeah, they might have done. Thunder might be around in the final, who knows?
That was cheap, but good from you.
Thank you. I was just wondering if I'd get a little bit of comeback from that. Georgia Adams, the skipper's on. More off spin. If there's a cheap gag going, I'm going to try and find it, Joe. I think that's only fair.
Yeah, absolutely fair.
Well, we do hope it's not interrupted and we do get a full game in. We've had such glorious conditions so far. Little reverse trying. Now, a bit late off the mark was Bryce. The throw came to the opposite end.
Yeah, Geordie Boyce was positive, I think, in her call. Obviously, you often say if it goes square of the wicket behind the batter, that it's the non-striker's call. But yeah, Geordie Boyce confident that she could make it home. I think we'd seen a wayward throw from Mary Taylor from that position earlier on today. So yeah, confident single.
Oh, caught behind. Wonderful catch. Fabulous catch. And Boyce has to depart. It was Fulton who, with the ball rising, just rose with it perfectly. Great view of it here. And you can see the actual height that she caught was around about chest height. Georgia Adams makes the breakthrough. And just as a partnership was starting to build, Joe, another wicket goes down.
Yeah, and that's something that Georgia Adams does really well. Breaks partnerships at key moments for her team, and you can't underestimate how good a catch that is from behind the stumps there from Nicole Fulton, as you rightly described, Daggers. Just a real sharp grab. Gloves were in a tidy position and she's held onto it, and unfortunately Boyce has to go.
So 3 down, and Marie Kelly comes to the crease, and we keep our fingers crossed that the dark clouds slide past New Road and are able to continue. But a job to do here for Kelly and Bryce. Bryce, who's been there 13 balls for her 9, and that run rate still hovering around about the 6 mark. Vipers, meanwhile, holders of this trophy, will be delighted. Those fielders just closing in, and I like that. No freebies to get things kicked off. He plays in the unusual position here of being on the back foot. Kelly off the mark, but a hugely successful over for Georgia Adams, the captain, and the Vipers. And just a couple of runs. You can see those ominous looking clouds over the cathedral and beyond, and we continue. 48 for 3, nothing dropping as yet, so that is great news. Here in the Charlotte Edwards Cup final, already we've had the eliminator, which the Vipers overcame the Thunder by 18 runs, and the Vipers looking to keep hold of their trophy. Charlotte Edwards, the head coach. Strictly speaking, it's her trophy. She always feels really awkward about it as Ailish Cranston comes back alongside me. She never knows what to call it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can understand that.
Well, my
cup. I encouraged her to, when we were on commentary, sort of, she always says, oh, the Charlotte Edwards Cup, and then understandably there's a sort of awkward look that comes on her face as Lindsay Smith returns. And right bang on the money to kick things off. I just said, we'll just call it my cup. Simple,
I
isn't
think
it?
I would feel uncomfortable calling it my cup.
Ah, well, wait till we get the Ailish Cranston plate going.
I think she's a bit more of a big dog than I am, though.
No.
I think she deserves it.
We'll get something named after you soon. Don't worry. So Bryce and Kelly hoping to try and forge a partnership and get the Blaze in some kind of position. And worth remembering as well, it was mentioned by Mark Church and Sophie Luff earlier on, that it was the Blaze who decided to bat first. And usually if there is a bit of weather around forecast, you like to be in a position to chase, with DLS coming into play as the 50 comes up for the Blaze.
Yeah, I thought that they might bowl first as well. I guess Vipers batted so well going first in the first game, so maybe they thought that was the way forward. But you know, there's still 11.2 overs to go. These two have been batting really well in the competition. They just need 1 or 2 overs to get going, and then I expect them to kick on.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful from Lindsay Smith. And Bryce's resistance is over straight through, and I think that's middle stump that is left out of the ground. straight on, playing all around it. And yet another member of the Blaze has to forlornly trudge off to the dugout.
Yeah, Bryce comes off just as we hear a big clap of thunder as well. So fingers crossed the rain will stay away for a little bit longer. But yeah, Sarah Glenn coming to the crease.
Yeah, England international, and she can bat well. She's a good player, but would find it rather unusual that she would find herself in this position with a good 11 overs to go. Usually she can come in and whack it around a little bit, but she's going to have to rein herself back just a little bit. Yes, the thunder, I heard that, even with headphones on. So it is starting to hover overhead, but nothing is dropping, so we're going to continue. Sue Redfern made history the other day, umpiring Gloucestershire versus Surrey in the Vitality Blast. First woman to do a men's game in this country. Great news. Hope it continues as Smith is in. And it concludes a very, very tidy over. Wicket for Lindsay Smith. And the Blaze 51 for 4 with 9 gone. What's the message then round the Blaze, do you fancy?
I think, you know, at the moment what they're going at 5.7 runs per over. I think if we can just, you know, look to up that to 6 is minimum, and then, you know, give yourself, they're only 4 wickets down. They've got Nadine de Klerk to come in. She's been fantastic for them in this competition.
You can see the wind whipping at the shirts and the trousers of the players out there. It is a bit of discernible difference in conditions as Charlie Dean continues. The trees in the distance, the wind is getting up. We're talking not very positively here, but everybody is moving to shelter. I can see. We here in the ladies' tea room, and the relatively safe.
Sue's just lost her hat there, I think.
Dear.
She's holding on to it tight. Oh, she's taking it off now. She's a bit worried that
I
coming together.
I think the umpires are just coming together. You can't stop it for wind.
Get the heavy bales out. They'll be all right.
That's right. You know, get one of those clips to stick the cap on. Make sure it doesn't fly away. And we continue. No, just a little edge. And that might... Well, it's heading towards the third boundary. Just held back. But yes, everybody... Oh, we've just had a big flash of lightning as well. But everybody who was in the dugout, just to our left-hand side, was gathering equipment, gathering gear, heading towards the Graham Hick Pavilion. And that, unfortunately, tells you that with that strike of lightning in the distance, the players are out of there, and it's completely understandable as well. 1 or 2 drops of rain starting to fall on the windows in front of us. The ground staff hastily dragging the covers on via their tractor and tarpaulins. Might be a difficult task sticking the tarpaulin down with the wind as it is, but unfortunately we are delayed as the rain looks to be coming down now. Blaze 53 for 4. Kelly is 5 not out. Sarah Glenn has faced just the 1 ball, but it has been really all Vipers so far in these first 9.3 overs of the Charlotte Edwards Cup final. Our apologies, there's not a great deal that we can do about the weather, and it looks very, very murky. Leaden skies over beyond the cathedral, and it seems that for now at least we are set for a delay. So we shall try and bring you cricket as soon as we possibly can, and we keep our fingers crossed that the forecast changes, the grey turns back to blue, and we can conclude today's final here at the Charlotte Edwards Cup. So, alongside me still is Ailish Cranston, and it's been an interesting day all round, but considering the fact that we saw a very high scoring first game, 190 plays 170, and now we're getting to see a little bit of a different. Why is that? Granted, the Blaze didn't play the first game, so they're coming in a little bit rusty, but they're also rested. Is that too much eagerness on their part? Has the surface changed a little bit? Have the Vipers bowled slightly differently, knowing what they've known or learnt from the first game? How do you read it?
I think it's always difficult going straight into the final. Like we said, the team before, they've already had a bit of a check over the conditions. I think you're also playing later in the day, and there's always a bit more nerves. It's like you have longer for your nerves to kind of set in. Whereas if you're playing in that first game, you got your nerves out the way. I do think that early wicket of Tammy Beaumont threw them a little bit. I think they were, obviously hoping and counting on Tammy to get going, and it's just trying to rebuild it from there. But Vipers have just taken off from how they did in the last game, bowling really consistently. Lindsay Smith bowled 3 overs for 10 runs. They're in a really good position. So you never know. This break here might be pretty good for the Blaze.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question to you. As the rain really is coming down now, and we're going to be off for a little bit of a while. The ground staff are making their way, as you can see, right across to the far side of the ground where the tarpaulin covers are, and drag them on and protect the square somewhat. And, we obviously have no clues as to what the delay or the length of delay, but it is teeming down now. It is very, very heavy, and so the cricket won't be on for a little while. But yet there are numerous different outlooks to this. Is it the Blaze have won 7 out of 7? They have got straight through to the final, which you would think would give them that particular advantage. But I just don't know. Sometimes there's arguments to be made both ways. The Vipers are nice and loose. Yes, it's energy sapping in the sunshine and the heat that we've had in the early part, but they know the conditions. They know where they potentially went wrong in the first game, even though they won it, and they can adjust and make those adjustments for the second game. So there's arguments either way. I don't know if there is. Which way would you stand? Do you want to be going straight through to the final?
I think I would definitely want to be in a position where I do go straight forward to the final, and you just have to try and work out as a team, how are we going to get to our best place? But at the same time, I think, a lot of teams might not admit this, but there's definitely a psychological edge that the Vipers have. They're a very successful team in this competition in particular as well. They've been in the final every year, and I think, it's never an easy game. And yes, the Blaze did win against them before, but they've come out today. They've absolutely smashed. They've smashed the first game. They've done so well. As a Blaze player, have you got a little bit of doubt creeping in there? They played really well, and at the same time, like you said, Blaze have won 7 out of 7, and they've performed so well with such great confidence throughout the competition. In a competition like this, that's what you need, confidence, and it's so quick. So yeah, it's like numerous things, and yeah, like I said, I do think Vipers sometimes they do have a little psychological edge. They have done well. It looks like we might begin to take off in a minute.
I was just thinking that very same thing. The tarpaulins, I knew this would be very difficult for the Worcestershire ground staff, and good on them, obviously, getting the covers on so quickly, but this is tough. In the breeze and the heavy, heavy rain, you might have seen just in the corner when the camera was on us, there was a group of supporters that are just underneath the Graham Hick Pavilion cowering, and it is, as they would say in Lancashire, Ailish, it's bouncing down at the moment. It is absolutely hammering it down, and our poor camera crew as well are just trying to get bin bags to cover the cameras to make sure that they don't get too wet and work for when the cricket does start up. It really is torrential out there, which is not overly positive for the resumption anytime soon. We can barely see the cathedral, and it's around about 100 yards away from us at the moment. You might just see, I'm going to try and point, there we go, and a bit more forward. There are the supporters that are cowering under. I wouldn't move from there if I were you, because you will get wet in a very short space of time, and it won't take a great deal with the rain coming down as hard as it possibly is. Let me just quickly run through the scorecard for you. That the Blaze have just faced 9.3 overs. Tammy Beaumont was lost LBW to Anya Shrubsole for 4. She wasn't happy about the decision from the view that we got from it. Looked pretty plumb to us, just slightly swinging in and trapped on the crease somewhat. Sarah Bryce 33, Georgie Boyce 21, Catherine Bryce made 10, Marie Kelly is 5 not out, and Sarah Glenn having faced just the one delivery. The bowlers, Shrubsole, brilliant as ever, 2 for 18 in 3. 1 for 10 off 3 for Lindsay Smith, and Georgia Adams just the 1 over, but she picked up 1 for 3 as well. So the ground staff coming towards us here in the ladies' tea room, as the rain keeps hitting our room that we are situated in very, very hard indeed. They are utterly drenched. The clothes are hanging off them, sagging away from their limbs, and actually clinging. They're sagging in certain areas and clinging onto them in others. So it's I feel for them hugely as they drag the tarpaulins in front of us, and more bin bags are being made to try and cover up the cameras and make sure that they are safe. So for the moment, we shall leave it. 53 for 4 is the situation for the Blaze after 9.3 overs, after winning the toss and electing to bat first. Interestingly, 5 of the 7 games that they have won, they won actually chasing down, and given this weather, who knows what will happen in the forthcoming hours or so. For now, we shall leave you, and we will pass you over to some content from the ECB.
This is when she's at her best. Broad's got 5 for England.
Hard through the offside, lovely shot.
Oh, what a delivery!
That is some reply from the England captain.
The Ashes belong to England once more.
We've been playing a long time.
Yeah, our old.